I don't know how I got one. You're special. Honest to God, how did I get one in the first place?
They ordered it.
All right, everyone, let's see everyone's here. Let's call this meeting to order. Everyone stand during the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move we approve the agenda, but not necessarily in that order.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
There's nothing that I see on the consent agenda items to pull off. If nobody else has any, I would move the approval of the consent agenda items.
We'll hear a second for that. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Emergency medical services report.
I'll have that at October.
I was going to ask, so are you going to invite John for us then?
Yeah, he's already got it on his calendar.
Okay, great. Do we have any committee reports tonight for fire?
Nope. The first next meeting is going to be September 26th at 8:30 a.m.
September 26th, okay. And we're talking about the library. I don't see, we can go through that, and we haven't had a Towns Association meeting, so we're in good shape on that. Chairman's report, try and keep that as brief as I can. I did meet with the county. I got requests from Indigo Pond with rising water in their different lots that they have. I think we did a good job of explaining to the homeowners that when the plats were approved, we have the ordinary high water level, and sometimes like in 2012 it'll be dry, and sometimes now it's going to be extremely high, probably the wettest season that we have. But all of the topo lines and all the approval for the plats checked out, so that's was good news, and the homeowners are accepting of that. With Vicky's help, we resolved the Monacan letter of credit late last week. That was approved for the storage facility, and somehow they felt that weeds was a cover crop, and we said through the county, no, that's not. You have to have seeding done, so they brought a check for $5,000 to the county, and the county is going to be doing that seeding for us. You probably have seen the letter in the packet. Kathy Kellner, our animal control person, is retiring. We'll be looking for a replacement. She's made a proposal that would be a good replacement for her, so we should have them come in and meet and greet them and see if that's a good fit for us. I'd like to do that as soon as we could, probably in October. And in October, we also have our annual employee review that we have. So that might be a good time to combine those. The employee review?
Yeah, supposed to be done in September.
Well, then we have to set a meeting for that.
I would agree.
Right. Well, that's why it's on my chairman's report. That's why I'm bringing it up. So we've got Kathy Kellner who's retiring. I think that'd be a good time to put it together with the employee review. So we can talk about that for schedules that are coming up. I met with the Hudson Library. It's on our agenda tonight. St. Joe, City of Hudson, and North Hudson were there. We're going to go through that in a few minutes. You probably saw water gremlins and the high-tech finishing situation that was on the WCCO. We talked to the mayor, our lawyer, the building inspector went out and met with high-tech. They're up to speed on all of their permitting through the DNR. And Vicki did a great job of posting it to our website for anyone who had questions on that. And then my next point is we need to set a date for the next working session in September. And Tim, that might be a good time if we want to either combine those or at least look at dates that work for everyone's here so that we can do the working session and any employee issues that we have. And Dan Fosterling, it's ironic, the county board meeting is not meeting tonight. Dan Fosterling is called away, he's actually in Uganda in Africa, so we'll just have to pick a date that works for us and what to do to that. My road report is simple tonight. By the middle of October, we have to have that Badlands funding completed to submit for federal and state funding. I talked to that issue last time, 80% through the federal, 90% through the state. We're trying to cooperate with the town of Warren, town of Hudson, and the county to see if there's any possible funding mechanisms for that. And Labarge Road. The county did get back to me on a price to do Labarge Road. We talked about possibly fixing that before winter came. They said depending on what's down there and what they get into, that would be between $7,500 and $10,000 to fix it. So they felt that they had adequate ways to protect it through the winter months, and then we as a town can decide if that's something we want to do in the spring. So they got back to us on that. So that's my report. All right. The next one, I see we have a lot of guests here tonight, which is great. I'm glad to see young people and all kinds of guests. But I think the next one is public comment. Is anyone here to speak on any issue? All right. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see your hand go up.
I guess I was late.
Okay.
Could the agenda be put in the paper? I don't seem to ever see the agenda put in the paper here or a town board meeting.
I send it. If they put it in, they put it in. If they don't, they don't. And it's getting worse because it's not the Hudson Star Observer anymore. It's
That's
just
correct.
the Star Observer.
That's correct.
So I can't force them to put it in the paper.
No, that's right.
So
Also, a year and a half, last spring of 18, they put that horizontal boring machine where you stopped that day, and that horizontal boring machine, and they never covered it all last year. Well, when you were down there, that was the third time it's been covered this year. Well, it was about 3 or 4 days later, the rain came and everything was gone again. And now all they did was just stretch some straw over the top, and the hole in they put a straw barrier on the top and threw sand in it. That's no.
Can we get your name?
Pardon?
Can we get your name and or who you are?
Wayne Nord, it's 871 Troutbrook Road.
Okay.
Right on the corner.
And then I guess just so we're all aware, we're not all aware of location on this. So if you,
It's right at the corner of Troutbrook and County Road A.
Okay.
no, Bear Drive.
Bear Drive, excuse me.
Troutbrook, okay.
Yeah. If they'd have put sod and staked it down, I'm sure it would have been fine in the first place. But they don't operate that way, and I was told to call Mary. I called her 3 times, but nothing. They don't fix it right, is what it amounts to.
It's an ongoing issue, and I think we just have to
I
continue.
take it from when you were out there.
Right.
With you.
And I talked to them too, but it's a contractor issue.
Kernan talked to him 2 years ago.
Who's a contractor?
Well, they hire us, it's Baldwin Telecom, but they hire TV. They have.
But we're still talking about that same thing?
Yes.
It's something like DQZ or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Or Q,
it's QoS.
QoS,
QoS,
Quad Optical
that's right.
Services.
and they are missing.
And that's who they hire to follow up and take care of it, and it just doesn't get done.
We need to call Baldwin and get them out there again.
And Kernan drove down to Baldwin and said, you know, this is getting you a bad name. And it apparently still isn't any good.
Did you follow up on that before, Mary?
No, I was never asked.
Would you mind following up on it now?
Sure.
That was, Mary was the one I called from Baldwin Telecom.
Right, Mary from Baldwin Telecom.
That's correct.
Well, Mary, if you wouldn't mind following up with them, just
Sure.
because we're going to get more and more of these. They're not done for a long time, so. Okay, any other thing for public comment? All right. I want to move the agenda around just a little bit because we're talking about the library tonight. I have Paul Burning here from the president of the library board. Paul, would you come up and share your presentation with us?
Good evening.
Good evening.
How's everyone doing? Ladies and gentlemen and the girl on the board. So we had a sit down at the last library board meeting, and we invited the chair and the chair of Town of Hudson. So we invited Don, and we invited is it Teresa over at St. Joe, and Stan from the village, and then also Rich serves as the council representative on the library board. Supervisor Schoberg had on and off sat down with Tina and has been crunching numbers between the old finance director and the new finance director on what it would mean to go back to a city library, municipal library. And he's been citing several things. One of them is the lack of funding for the library is one. Among other things, that the library would be better funded if we went back to municipal library, etc. So, I'm trying to think if this was prior to me going on vacation. He had to sit down with Tina, who's our library director, and put together a proposal, which, if you see the one with the color is actually the corrected, with the correct numbers that are sourced from the county properly and also from the state. He had put together a proposal to essentially ask the town of Hudson and St. Joe Township to leave the joint library and go back to the county rural circulation tax. Are you guys familiar? Have you guys looked over this and seen what that does to your taxpayers?
I've been doing this since I was on city council.
Well, right, okay, but I'm asking if you guys have all seen it and know what this would do. This the bottom line for me, and I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time because if you guys are seeing what the value is and you guys understand it, the bottom line is your taxpayers will be impacted the most out of all the municipalities other than the city. And not only that, but the bottom line further is the library still is not funded where it should be. I don't know how the possibility of kicking you guys out is possible. I don't want that to happen. I don't think you folks want that to happen because of course we all know that when it comes down to property taxes, who are the first people they blame? It's generally you nice folks on the horse sheet, right? So, not that that's the right or wrong thing, it just is what happens. You guys get the earful from your constituents. So, what we're looking for is, because the county continues in a vote of 15-2, once again, without ever inviting us to the table to talk about why, they have defunded by about $30,000 off the county levy to the area library. What does this do for you? Well, this is basically telling your citizens that they don't have the right to have their own library. Because that's essentially what you guys have done in the town of Hudson. You said, hey, we're going to have our own library. We're going to put our books and help pay for a director to run those books. We're just going to put that in the city. I think the county is very short-sighted in all of this, frankly, but in talking with Don and the other chairs, I think we're going to be able to fund this to the point where we can be open Sundays. We will be open 7 days a week this coming year. If we have to take the $30,000 out of undesignated fund balance, which we have, we will. But we're going to deliver a high-quality product, and I can tell you that us doing that, the reason we're able to do that is because the finance committee a year and a half ago and Tina worked over 4 or 5 sessions to reorganize the employee structure of the library itself. So I'll give you an example. Mary retired, and for those of you that have been down at the, brought your little ones down to the library, Miss Mary has been there a long time. She was a staple for my family when we moved here. And when she retired, that opened up a position that, according to how it was written, required I believe a master's degree in children's library. So Tina looked at that and said, you know what? We've got very capable people here. That's not going to require us to go out and bid on somebody we may overpay for that particular degree. And so she redid the whole budget, going from 2018 into 2019, the budget we put together, if we had hired a new children's librarian and left the staffing structure the way it was, we would have either had to close again on Mondays, or we would have had to have required an additional, like, I want to say like $90,000. I don't have this memorized, but it would have been a significant amount of money. By restructuring all of that in the employee structure, we were able to actually go from status quo to not really having to raise the budget all that much and open Sundays for the school year. So to me, that showed a major accomplishment for the library, which for years and years since the recession has been closed on Sundays and Mondays. We're able to do this, and we're able to keep these people off our backs, and we're able to do this without the county. I'd like to be able to go to the county and say, you know what, you guys, thank you so much. It's nice that you'd like to give us 100% funding, but we don't need it. We've got it on our own. To do that, and you've looked at the numbers that were presented, and did you guys get a copy of the proposed budget? We're asking for a 2% increase over what was given last year for this year, so that we can be open on Sundays, we won't run a deficit, and I believe we are taking, even with a 1.6% increase, we will be taking some money out of the undesignated fund balance to help cover some one-time expenses that we got to spend that down anyway. So what I'm looking for is, when it comes to budget time, help us out so that we can keep the library open 7 days a week, so that we can stave off the people that want to essentially kick out our partners and not allow them to have their own library, and do that by showing that the community that we have a library that's open 7 days a week for the servicing area, and we're doing it at a great value to the taxpayers. So that's in a nutshell what I came to talk about. Is there anything else that you wanted me to cover? Is there any questions, concerns, comments, ideas? Tim?
I understand the majority of us understood for years. The county libraries and the other municipalities raise their budgets tremendously because the county does not have a levy limit on their library budget line. Where, for whatever reason, in the state of Wisconsin, when there's joint library boards like this, we still have a frozen levy limit line. Is there any way we go back to this? Because that's where the deficit is continuing to roll along. Because about the same time the joint library was created back in 2004, about when the levy limits went in. And we haven't been able to increase the levy because of that levy limit.
So the library levy, let's just pretend for an instant that we went back to a municipal library and you guys are no longer part of the joint library. Any levy cushion that you had, or levy capacity that you had for the library would go back to the county. So you guys would also lose.
My point is, we should be talking to the state and say, you need to change the law that allows counties to have a line item that allows the levy to go up on libraries in the county system. Yet you do not allow the municipalities within the joint library to allow the levy limit to go up to cover the funding. So they're building new buildings in Roberts and all over.
Yeah.
That we wouldn't even been able to consider.
Well, there's a couple other issues that coincide with that. One, as being part of a joint library, you guys are exempt from the mandated minimums that you have to hit, and we're not even, between the city and the partners, we're not even close to hitting those mandates, and that's why the amendment was put in in 2010.
Because they keep raising, the county does, the levy that raises that limit. You
Well,
can't
that
bring it
is
up.
based on a formula.
I know, but it's because.
It's based on usage. There's a whole bunch of different things. And I can tell you, Tina's put a lot more time into understanding that formula. I don't know if I have the time
I agree.
to do it. I mean, it's a very complex formula. The bottom line is, you guys are better off the way it is right now, especially on a per capita basis, because if you go, again, if you go back to municipal library, changing the laws in Madison, let's have fun going down there and talking to a Republican legislature and a Democratic governor. I mean, it's not going to,
What hasn't happened in the last
and
15 years.
we've tried in the past, talking with representatives to get a bill introduced down there, to take away the county's ability to, with prejudice, go after just one library, because right now, legally, they have the capability of doing what they're doing. There's no legal recourse to what they're doing. So really, if we're talking about going down to the state and changing it, I would say that's, okay, look, we can, but I would rather put our efforts towards figuring out a solution to long-term keep this open.
But what you have to understand is the 2% has to come out of our road fund. Your library increase has to come out of our road fund, because we've got a levy limit freeze.
I understand that.
We don't have a cushion.
I get that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I just want to put a little history on this too,
Yeah.
on top of everything you're saying, which is all correct. However, I don't know, back in 2012, let's say, or 13, whenever I was on the council till 15, right? So sometime in that time period, we voted, all of us voted to remove, to stop funding the libraries around us.
Correct.
Because it was only supposed to be funded for 5 years to help keep them, get them off their feet and move forward.
Because of their loss of the rural tax,
Right.
circulation tax.
Right, so when we did that, Supervisor Schober came to the city of Hudson and threatened to sue the city of Hudson
And the library.
and the library, and decided that it was within the county's right to retain 30% of the monies that we're supposed to be receiving.
Correct.
Like, that's our money that could go towards that 2% increase that you guys need, that we don't have. So as much as I want to give that first, I know I've been said in the past that, in my opinion, the library should just go away. However, that doesn't matter at this point because it's here.
And there are state statutes that guide that we need to have one,
Right,
or
which
be
is-
taxed for it.
Which
so-
is great, fine, I don't care. What I care about is the fact that the county is holding our taxpayers' money
Yep,
and then asking us to contribute more.
yep.
So I have a hard time playing ball with the county and their request when they're holding our money.
I don't disagree with you. So if we're looking at, I'm trying to look at this from a legalistic standpoint, because that's what I've been approaching supervisors and talking with them about. And from a legalistic standpoint, it isn't our money. 70% of it by law is. It's coming from other rural municipality users
No,
going to the county, because if you guys are not
we
paying the rural
voted to stop
circulation.
that. We voted to stop that. Supervisor Schober decided to continue it. So technically, if you go back to the records,
Are we talking about the same thing here?
yes, we are. The 30% was gone. It was we voted as the joint library to stop funding the other libraries like that.
That is correct, yep,
Which
because that
means-
was actually coming out of your levy to go to other municipalities.
Right.
And there should have never been, there should have been a sunset provision on it.
There
which
was.
There was no sunset provision in there. There was a clause in the joint library agreement that
Fair.
said the library board and the municipalities can amend this joint agreement at any time.
At will, at any time.
Yes,
Correct.
and so with that being said, there was no resolution or ordinance tied to the approval of the joint library stating that there was a 5-year period or a 20-year period. There was nothing tied to it for that. So you are correct in that it was built. I'm coming at it from a legal sense since we're being taped, so people understand that Well, so that people
I get it,
understand that
I get it.
it's a, we decided as, and it was before my time, but to not pay the other libraries, and that was within our legal right.
Correct.
They're coming at it from a moral perspective and also a perspective of technically, if you go back to a municipal library, we will fund it according to how the state laws are deemed us to have to do it. So by not funding it, we continue to give ammunition to people at the county because they'll say, look, they've stayed flat on their funding for 3 years. There's no way any governmental organization can stay flat. Well, very few can stay flat with cost of living and labor, and some can, but the library continues to stay flat.
Maybe they should understand levy limits that they keep leaving in place for 15 years. You know?
Right. If I might,
Yeah,
just, the benefit is, I wanted to have you come in and visit with us.
yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's very important, having it at a board meeting like this, the purpose of this then is to get this out into the public
Yep.
so they understand what's really transpiring. I just want to take 30 seconds and just broaden this discussion to this point. If Supervisor Schoberg was successful with asking the town of St. Joe and the town of Hudson to willingly leave
Yep.
the joint library, the citizens of our town would actually see our taxes go down because we'd be in the county library system. And his lever is saying that now we're relieved from these or state levy limits, which is what we're all talking about here.
Yep.
The unfortunate huge hook in the worm, if I might, is now your town taxes have gone down by roughly 200,000, but your county taxes have gone up by 293,000
Yep.
for the first year. And St. Joe's would have gone up by $80,000 or $90,000 for St. Joe. So it's a, you're kind of moving the walnuts around on the table. Yes, if it gets out in the public domain that we're lowering our taxes, we're not paying library taxes. Well, now we're paying county taxes a third higher than we're paying today.
Yeah.
And the threat is still there that if we're not meeting those 3-year averages, we could still be sued. And we have a resolution tonight saying that from the town's perspective, and hopefully it's going to pass, we're not willingly leaving the joint library board
Yeah.
tonight. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of back to where we are on budgets and how do we all work together.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is, and maybe it's different. We could say our taxes would go down 200,000, but really,
The town's portion.
the town's
Right.
portion.
The town levy, because we have to take that out of our levy, so we have to
We don't
reduce
get
our
that.
levy.
Right, but we don't get that money,
No, it goes.
No.
period.
It goes to
It
the
just
county.
goes, our
That's
levy,
what I'm
it
saying.
doesn't go to the county,
I'm just
it
trying-
goes,
No, it goes to the county.
Yeah.
So
So-
your levy capacity for the library by statute has to be transferred to whoever the taxing
Well,
body
right.
is. And in your guys' case, whatever that capacity is, then gets
but
shifted
it's not,
to the
that's not
county.
true. We just take the 200,000 off our levy.
Right.
The county actually raises their levy
Right.
on the town of Hudson,
Yeah.
300,000.
Right.
So
So
we
you
don't
don't ever
shift
pay
it,
for it.
it's,
But I'm trying to dumb it down because
Right.
unless you're on like a board or council, you don't really understand what it means when you say levy.
so really your taxes are going up.
Yes.
And
Right,
it's
and the money doesn't necessarily go back to the
And it won't go
library.
back to the library.
At almost
And
90% of your
And if
constituents.
it's right,
Yes.
key point, our levy limit is decreased by that amount.
Yes.
So it isn't like we.
That's what I'm saying too.
And actually, before Brenda left the city, Wisconsin Department of Revenue also said there's no guarantee that it's going to be verbatim. So maybe your levy capacity was 200,000 for the library, but they take away 212 because that's what's necessary to shift over. So really, the bottom line is it goes from you guys having control over the library that you choose to be a part of or your citizens no longer have the right to have their own library because the county deems that, you know, they're the overlords of the library, and technically the county. Anyway, I don't need to get into that, but that's what I'm presenting tonight, is that 2% or whatever it is that you're able to contribute as an increase. If it's not done at some point in time, you're playing right into the hands of the people that will put you back into a position eventually where they will force you, maybe not you, but they will force your constituents to pay more in taxes to not necessarily have the same product that they're getting today.
Because we haven't been doing those 3-year rolling averages.
Well,
Yes, we have.
it's been pretty stagnant. I think it went down one, or no, you guys didn't go down. I think someone else went down.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I just got to finish this. Just what?
Yeah.
When you said, well, I don't want to be misunderstood on this. We've been doing 3-year rolling averages. If we don't do that,
Yeah, right.
now we're opening ourselves up, which is why you're here tonight requesting that we keep some semblance of that process in.
Well, we have to in order to get the exemption. Otherwise, we pay our tax and the county tax. That's why we do that resolution every August.
Right.
That shows that we do at least the 3-year average. You have to pay that much or more, or otherwise, and we have always done that, or more, because Dave was always big on giving more to the library.
Yep, I think in the last 3 year guide, you guys have increased 2 of the last 3 years. So you guys have, yeah.
So we will have to.
So we can take a year off, so we can burn a hole in March.
Ken, do you have a question?
Are you guys looking for 2% from each?
Yep.
St. Joe's, us?
Yep, last year St. Joe gave 2%.
And then what kind of like fundraising, like do you guys have a library?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked.
Do you look for other ways to fund, like
So that is also another,
That's a loaded question.
that's a whole, yeah, did I tell you to ask that? Because that's a great question.
Do that.
Yeah. So here's another caveat to having the joint library compared to a municipal library. The foundation and the Friends have done a marvelous job. The reinvigoration of the foundation and the steadfastness of the Friends of the Library and their fundraising efforts, even though they're not a fundraising organization, they've done a great job. So it's 92% of all of the programs, the extracurricular outside of, here's a book, okay, please put it back on the shelf for me, I'd like another book. All the extra little programs, it's about 92% is funded by our private partners. So we're not coming to you asking you to do a revolutionary day down at the river where they're firing muskets, which was really cool, by the way. But we're not asking the taxpayers to fund that. We're going to our partners, and the partners have expanded to the areas. St. Joe, Village of North Hudson, Town of Hudson has a lot of key people, and the Friends too, have a lot of key people from the partners that would fall away, and now you're back to municipal library, municipal Friends, and municipal foundation to fund the library. So yes, that's a great question, and yes, we do quite a bit to do that. I think 50,000 from the foundation. Is it 40 or 50 from the foundation? Between 40 and 50 from the foundation this year, and close to 15 from the Friends will be used for programming and special events and
I still
other
have
things.
a clause stuck in my throat because when Roy Solberg was made president of the library board by Dean Knudsen, then mayor, it was so that Roy could fund the cost of buying the building within 5 years.
5 years.
And Roy didn't do a damn thing to get that done.
So within 5 years of buying that building,
Roy was supposed to get enough money with the foundation to pay for that building to buy it back from the city, and he never did a dime's worth of work to do that. And so I got a really bad taste in my mouth with Roy, with all the other stuff he's doing.
well,
He was supposed to make that happen, and he didn't do anything.
But he could do it in 3, he said.
Yes.
let's set that aside for now. We could probably do that as another initiative, but I want to focus on, one, you guys have a very valuable library. I mean, that library is beautiful. When I'm talking to people about it, they love it. It's truly incredible, and we have a really good director. She has taken a budget And it's not really a great budget if you look at some of the surrounding libraries in comparison, like, you know, River Falls, and even you go into the cities, and I know we've made comparisons to the cities and other things, but I'm telling you, Tina has done a great job of revitalizing the relationship with the foundation and the Friends to get more private money coming in. She's done a great job of reorganizing the employee structure and the employment structure to save money and deliver a very high quality product. And the fact that it was only, what, 2 years ago? We were closed on Mondays. Maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago. We're open Sundays and Mondays now going into 2020, and we're going to do it still at a significant savings to your taxpayers. Comparatively speaking, also to being just a municipal library and subject to rural tax. So, you know, I'm a pretty conservative guy, but to step over a dime to pick up a penny doesn't make much sense to me.
The foundation part, that's great too. The other part that always interests me is the budgeting part. And I don't know anything about their budget. So it'd be nice to actually be presented with some sort of document or something with their budget.
Like the library budget?
Yeah, I mean, just something. So
Yeah.
you can look at it. I mean,
I could have Tina come out at the next meeting. I don't exactly have it on me, nor was I prepared to present that.
Tell her I was really impressed with her report. I was very impressed.
Yeah, she's very thorough. She's great.
I was.
So, any other questions, concerns, comments, or ideas?
I appreciate you coming out. A couple of takeaways. You might want to stay. I'm going to move that up. We're going to have a discussion on a resolution to stay.
If you can move it up, I can stay. Otherwise, I got my son drafting my fantasy football team, and that's his first time doing it.
It'll be one. In 1 minute, we'll move it up.
I bet we'll win this year.
I thought Richard Connor had a good line at the meeting I attended. He said, you know, at some point, we just have to move on. You know, we always have this threat that whether the county's going to give us 100% or keep us at 30.
Yep.
You know, you guys are doing a great job moving on without that.
Yep.
And when I looked at these numbers, and you collapse it all down to ducks and buddies, you know, if we left, the two towns left, one goes up 80,000, one goes up 90,000, and that's forever. And you get about $30,000. So that's really not a huge benefit to.
Well, the corrected version is we go down even more. I think it was like 5,000 we go down.
Yeah.
So
With that, any other questions for Paul tonight? Appreciate you coming.
well, thank you for letting me be here. Yeah, I'll step away and then I'll let you bring up the other agenda.
I want to move up item number 16, discussion and action on the resolution to remain the Hudson area joint library. That was actually helped drafted by the town of St. Joe, and Vicki helped modify it for us. Do I hear a motion to move that to the floor for discussion?
Move it to the floor.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay. Any discussion on that tonight?
I would move approval of resolution number 2019-04 to resolve the affirming the town of Hudson as a member of the Hudson Joint Library.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion is carried. Thank you, Paul.
You folks have a great
Do
night.
you want a copy of this?
I'll send it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just send it to Tina, that's fine.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Life is always exciting when it comes to the library.
For yours and yours and yours. That's true.
All right.
Only because of right.
The other one I want to move up is Gary Zappa, only because Gary's been here so many times. I think he's part of our board. Gary,
We have the
give
county
me the floor.
approval, so
We don't have a letter from the county department on any concerns. But the biggest concern I have, just for the board and you, Gary, is the county ordinance and the town ordinance that we have before. We've used the county subdivision ordinance always before, and that's anytime you have more than two homes on a private drive, if you add a third one, you have to bring your private road up to public standards. I don't know how Helen could overlook that. I just have a hard time with that. And it's not Old Highway 35 we're talking about, it's River Heights Trail.
Right.
Which is a private road, should technically be brought up to public
But the
standards.
county doesn't want to do that, and it's in
But
the
the
town of
county
St.
doesn't,
Joe.
but it's our ordinance that says that if you're gonna do that, if we're gonna give you a
Right,
driveway,
Tim, but
if we're
it's-
gonna give you a driveway permit, you have to have a road that you're going onto. If it's more than 2
Right.
drives.
And we have only,
It's not.
this would be 2 drives.
No, it's not. You're going onto a private road.
No, we only
Those
have
2
1
drives
drive.
are going onto a private road that have 4 other private roads on it.
So it wasn't enforced before then.
That was in St. Joe, and St. Joe's got a ton of private roads. And that's a county deal. The county had allowed developers to do 4-lot minors, and they would take a farm's 60-acre
Right,
parcel.
but that what you're saying is in the town of St. Joe, not in the town of Hudson.
But in our ordinance says, if you're going to a private road, you gotta make it public. You can't have
Right.
roads.
If it's in the town of Hudson.
No, it's in our ordinance that says if you're subdividing, which we are, if we give you a lot, we're subdividing it to give you a driveway permit. And if that driveway permit goes to a private road, it needs to be brought up to public standard if there's more than 2 lots on it. And there is.
But only in the town of Hudson,
No, it
right?
doesn't say that. It doesn't say only in the town.
But your jurisdiction is only in the town of Hudson, right?
Yeah, so I won't give you approval for the lot.
Well, but St. Joe is okay with it.
Just so you know, that's where I'm standing right now.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I was just looking into it more too. Your driveway, is it gonna be, is it in the St. Croix River way, like
The
in the?
existing, in the river district,
Yeah,
the driveway that's existing is the one we're using. And
okay.
it's in the river, part of it is in, yeah, it is in the river.
Are we
district.
able to, and you're able to, because it's existing, you're able to continue to use it?
Yes.
Or
Yeah, that and it conforms with the less than 12% slope too.
I don't have any comments from the county yet, they didn't get to it yet.
Yeah, I read Sarah's letter and there's still open stuff that they haven't answered yet.
Because they haven't
Review.
had time to review, they've got, the conditional use was approved, but they haven't done any review on the.
Plus, we have an alternate driveway that we could use on the county property if we want to have them redesignate an easement for us. So we have another option too, so.
Then I'll wait.
That's why they gave us approval on,
the current situation, the current?
well, yeah, on the subdivision, that the Board of Adjustments approved that.
That was just the variance on the width of the lot.
No, that was also the variance for the land division.
Right.
That was done last week, Tim.
I read it.
Yeah.
Well, land division and a variance to the lot.
Right.
But it's based on going out to River Heights Road.
It is based on ultimately, which is now owned by St. Croix County.
Does that other driveway have to will it lead you out a different road then, or the same?
No, it'll ultimately end up on River Heights Trail.
So the same
Really,
problem
no
still?
difference. Same problem exists. And for me, and I still don't understand how Ellen could say, well, we're gonna overlook it because which means there's probably 6 to 10 private roads in St. Joe. That means that anybody in St. Joe can take a lot, subdivide it, in the town of Hudson, the residents own to the center of the road. We just have right of way to brush and stuff on the side of the right of way. In the town of St. Joe, the state highways, the interstate highway, the municipalities own the road the land under the road.
I've built several.
What I don't understand is why St. Joe allowed all of those private roads to be put into their town that St. Joe doesn't own the land underneath. I don't quite understand it. You require all of this land to be purchased and given to the town to own the right of way, and yet you allow tons of private roads to go into your municipality. I'm sorry, probably back in Ray Brown's era. You know,
Yeah, I don't know how many are
Back
out
in
there,
the
but
early
there are a few,
70s.
yeah.
you know. So, and I look at all of those issues and I just struggle with it. I do.
Well, again, I'm still saying that, you know, the private road is not in the town of Hudson. That's what I'm
But
saying.
it's going to a private road.
Right. You know, I think, if I might,
Well, it's actually owned by the public, to be honest. The county owns it,
Well,
so
now it's,
technically it is, and the county doesn't want to improve it, so.
I didn't see anything in Sarah's letter that would preclude us from working with the county and Mr. Zappa on this project.
They haven't even reviewed the CSM
they
yet.
haven't reviewed it.
There's no review, I don't have anything on it yet, because
They haven't had time.
right, because they've been working on
On the
the
driveway.
variances and
No,
conditional
I'm
uses.
CSM.
So, but I'm going to a different point of the discussion. Are we going to make Mr. Zappa go through to the level of the CSM, then come back in and say we won't approve it because of the concerns? Well, that's a question that I have. I think it's a fair question when people come in for comment.
Vote on it.
On what?
Whether you want to approve it or not.
Approving the CSM.
Right. I already told you my answer.
Well,
I struggle with approving it too because we haven't gotten the information we need.
There were 3 meetings and we haven't gotten the information.
Correct. Because they haven't done it yet,
So
because
it's
they've
like-
been working on these
it's like
conditional
what-
uses.
Well, then I must be hearing something different tonight. I'm saying when we come down through all of these layers, is the issue with the supervisor still going to be that our ordinance says that we don't approve 3 lots off from a road and therefore we won't approve the CSM?
No, that's Tim's issue.
That's
My
my,
id is I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well, that's why I'm polling.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what- Because we're gonna
You haven't
be
seen
talking
what,
about, we're gonna talk about the concept for other things, and I just wanna make sure that if the whole board feels that way, I'd like that
I
feedback.
thought our last meeting, everyone was in agreement, at least that's what we,
Well, we were supposed to get the information back from the county and
on what information?
first off, the questions that we were trying to get clarified, the information on the CSM, all I have is a letter here that states,
Well, then if I may, let's try to narrow it down to what we want from Mr. Zappa as a board. Because the prior meeting
it's
was,
not Mr. Zapp, it's the county land and use.
but he has to go and get this information.
But they haven't had time to review it. They're busy doing other proposals.
To review what, Tim, or what do you want to review?
Your CSM.
The construction plans, what else do
The
they?
construction
I don't know,
plans
permit,
of
what is it all
the
that they
driveway?
require?
No.
Of the
Your
what?
CSM.
But I'm going back to the central issue. When Mr.
Yes.
Zappa comes back in with all of that, are you still going to oppose it then? I mean, that's what you're saying
Because of
tonight.
me, I will.
Okay, and I think that's why I'm talking about the other supervisors here. I mean, at one of our board meetings, the issue was what does the town of St. Joe think about this? Then we ran that all the way down to say, hey, this is a private road, and the underlying fee owner of that is the county. And St. Joe didn't have a problem with this,
St. Joe approved it.
and they approved it.
The county doesn't want it upgraded.
And they sent us letters on it. So I'm just saying, if every month we keep telling Mr. Zappa, hey, you have to do this, you have to do this, and we know from the outset we're not going to approve it, and Supervisor Foster's entitled to that, I respect for that. I need a sense of the other
I think
supervisors.
you're kind of putting words in our mouths. All I said was, we haven't seen what we need to see with the CSM and stuff, and I think that's fair. We require that of everything else we do. It's not like we're
What do you
like
want to
pointing
see in the
people out.
CSM
That's why I'm
area?
asking you tonight to give Mr. Zappa specifics on what we need to see.
We need to see the approval of the CSM from the top, from the county.
TRT CSM letter. And they were reviewed it. Because Because here's the first letter that came, and it was, what, 3 pages long with everything. And that was just on the concept. Now we need the,
Pretty sure the last meeting, that's what we were waiting for, was the county approval.
Right. I'm just a
And we
little,
haven't seen that,
You
so.
know, the problem that I got.
But we have.
To hear it.
They didn't send you a letter saying it was approved.
that was just the conditional use, but we still don't have the CSM.
1 second. Okay. That might, what was,
You answered his question, did you get it?
I didn't get it, I was talking to you. What was?
No, what Vicky told him you needed. A CSM letter that gives you the, can you use that other one that came in? It's a committee.
Right, the TRT CSM letter. So
That's
it's their review letter that
And we get it for all
we
development.
get it on all of them.
And we struggle every time that isn't in. It isn't
Right.
just with you, Gary. Every time
No,
the
I
developer
get all
comes in,
that, but
it isn't there.
It was my understanding you needed the county's approval. That's the way I interpreted it when I left.
Yes, but we also need that.
Let me just clarify that. That's why I'm asking this question. As we did with the town of St. Joe, we came in and talked to us, there was concerns about the town of St. Joe was, whether they supported it or not. I think you ran that to the ground that they did.
They did.
The last meeting was, hey, you haven't had your Board of Adjustment meeting yet.
We had one, but yeah.
Well, it's
You're
talking
right.
in big pictures
Yeah.
here. You haven't had that, we don't know if this has been approved or not by the county, we can't act on it there.
That was the interpretation that I got from everyone
That's
here,
what
is that
Ellen
once we
was
get
here.
approval, you're in favor of it.
And I'm saying on behalf of the board, that was my impression from the board, go and get this done, that if that's approved, then we'll go to the next step. If you need to come back with the CSM tonight, I have no problem with that, other than this is the most strident that I've heard Supervisor Foster say, that it's.
Changed my opinion on it. And here's why. With time. Once you break that mold and you allow one resident to do what Gary's proposing to do, how do you turn down anybody else that wants to put a third driveway on and run it down that private driveway out to the public road without...
In another township, too.
In the town of Hudson. We got
But
somebody
the scenarios
else.
are different, though.
No,
Yeah, they are.
it's our rules.
But your rule, this goes to another township that we got approval. So you'd have to use the same scenario.
No, it's that you're allowing somebody to add an extra lot.
All of the other driveways are in the town of St. Joe. So that doesn't apply to Hudson. You can twist it either way.
That's your interpretation.
That's
Hey,
a fact.
If we want to do that, Don, we go back and condemn the land up at the top next to Malik's land and bring Brookwood through like we talked about doing 20 years ago.
Well, I would support that if that, but I want to keep these consistent. If that's the town of St. Joe's road, then I
It
think
ain't.
that.
All of
Well,
those
he's saying that the
all of those driveways,
are
Tim, all of those driveways are in the town of St. Joe.
Yes, they are.
And that's why you asked us to get approval with St. Joe, and that's what we did. So that, you can't have it, I mean, technically, you're asking it both ways, and that's not
But you're
logical.
Where is your CSM?
Our CSM is approved.
Where is it? What township?
It's in the town of Hudson.
And so we have to follow our town rules and the county rules.
Right.
That say,
Right.
anytime you add a third driveway to an existing private, anything more.
In your township.
No, on the county ordinance too. That's why I didn't understand what Ellen was saying. We don't care.
The county doesn't
I know, I don't care.
abide by that rule.
But it's, no, but I don't understand how she doesn't want to abide by that rule. It's part of the county subdivision ordinance.
She clearly said that last
I
month.
know, I caught it.
And
Why?
you agreed with it,
Why does
yeah.
she? But I don't understand why she's willing to violate that.
Because they don't want to be involved in town roads anymore. period.
But this isn't a town road. This is a driveway permit for a subdivision, for a one-lot CSM.
But I think that's the reason why she's being non-committal. They're just so careful about it.
And they don't want to change the
But
road.
that writing comes out 3 locations in the county ordinance that says you can't do that. And yet she's willing to just overlook it. And that's what drove me to say, when do you not allow that to happen in your?
They've left that jurisdiction to the townships. That's what she
But
said.
it's in their subdivision ordinance too. And that's,
I think if
to
you
be
read
honest,
into it, you'll
we
see that.
never had it in ours. We always used the county one. We are now writing it into our town
Right.
road ordinance that says if you're gonna have a third driveway onto it, it's gotta go onto a public road.
But the way I see it, it's in the town of Hudson. Does it say that in your ordinance?
You want us to put it in there, Gary? I'll do
Well, I
that.
don't care, but I'm just saying, I don't think,
And I'll get it done.
I don't think it's, you're dealing with the town of St. Joe, all of those driveways are in the town of St. Joe.
Except for Gators.
I mean, there is,
Gator has 3 lots.
what's that?
He said Capater.
Capator is in the town of Hudson, and those are all regular lots already.
No, they're not.
No.
No. Capater has a house, that was all the
Just one
testimony
lot.
that they gave. And I just want to make sure we're talking the same set of facts here. Capater does not have 3 approved lots there.
I don't even know what computer is, so we're good.
It's land. If you drive in on the road, the blacktop road,
Yeah,
and you up to the end of
South.
there's a driveway to the south. That's where Mr. Capater's land is.
He's the only one in
The county- the county one.
in the town of Hudson.
The county bought all of the land around him except for Mr. Zappa and Mr. Capater.
oh,
They had all the land underneath the road.
Everybody else is in the town of St. Joe, so.
Current?
Can a citizen just ask a question?
Sure.
So, are all these driveways coming out onto a private road, which is now owned by the county?
Only because the county
No.
owns the land underneath.
Right.
But they still have to have a homeowners association agreement. Who maintains that road? The county's not gonna
No,
maintain
the
it.
county owns it, and the county doesn't want it upgraded.
I get that.
So isn't this one of those cases where
But in,
it's kind of a
but
special
in
case?
2000, when Starwood was created, you bought that lot with the hopes that someday you might be able to get an access out of it, knowing that you might not.
No, it says right on the plat, is once access is obtained, it would become a lot.
But it's an outlot, which is not a buildable lot. And that's what you're trying to do now. It was created as an outlot in the Starwood subdivision.
Except if you look at the labeling on the outlot, it states it's a buildable
If you
lot.
guys were serious about that, you'd have made sure the width was down on the river was 200 feet.
No, that didn't exist then, Tim. That was 2000 and 2006 it did. Otherwise, I would have done that.
That's
And that's a fact. That's why the board, so.
so if the county doesn't want to upgrade the, deal with the maintenance and upgrade the lot, or the driveway, the road, and it's going to be the responsibility of all the homeowners down there.
Do
right?
what?
The road, to maintain the road.
It is now.
Yeah.
It's split, the county pays their portion.
So but if they don't want to upgrade it and do what Kernan's saying essentially, my question is, wouldn't you guys just be able to form a new driveway easement? That's how that's gonna be maintained and kept up? A new one though, like an updated one?
We asked for that 3 meetings ago.
As long as the county owns it, they'll take care of it. They want
The
it.
the associations, the county will pay their fair portion based on a prorated.
But what did you just say they wouldn't do?
What they wouldn't do?
Yeah,
They don't want it upgraded. So what I'm
So
saying
they
is,
don't want it to
why
be a
doesn't...
road. They
all
just
I'm
want it to stay
saying-
private.
Right, why doesn't the board, this is just a special exception where this is just a one-time deal, Tim, you'll never see this
See,
again.
Tim, we also
I
created,
can guarantee you, other than his comment about going into St. Joe is the only time you'll see it, more than likely. However, where do you stop that in the future if somebody else comes in and say you did this for Gary Zappa?
well, it's not, but in theory, you're not creating a precedent because this is in St. Joe. If there's another border,
Your interpretation, and you're not an attorney.
what's that?
In your interpretation, and you're not an attorney.
Well, to me, it's pretty clear. As an engineer, it seems pretty clear to me, but maybe not to you, I don't know. But how many situations do you have that in this?
Not many, because we don't have hardly any private roads.
but going into another townships.
Well, we got tons, and it pisses us off beyond imagination, because Warren Township allows a 4-lot minor and puts a cul-de-sac on the end, and we were trying to do that for road play.
Right. So that,
Well,
there you go.
this is why we're back to this request. I think it is a totally unique request.
And from an environmental, if I may just say, Don, to Tim, you know, I did create, when we built that, I created an easement going east to Roy Hart's property, but never wanted to exercise. Actually, we wouldn't have been able to very well with the RN 118 standards. It would have disturbed so much land environmentally. This is so simple. It's an existing driveway 200 feet away. It's actually 100 feet away of the old driveway that's there, and there's no disturbance of land. I mean, it's very minimal. There's no trees, there's no anything. So environmentally, this also was a great plus for the Starwood Conservancy Park and the county park too.
So do you still have questions on the maintenance agreement?
No,
So that's not an impediment to having this?
No, the driveway is really, that's Tim's issue. I'm just,
Right.
as I'm hearing things,
Right, no.
questions come up and I have a question.
It's a complicated situation. I just think it's totally unique. I think there's cooperation between the county and St. Joe, and all of the issues that have been raised are very valid ones, but I think as Mr. Zappa brings them back in and addresses them, that's what I'm just polling the board a little bit. I think at some point we should say, yes, we're going to approve it. It might not be a unanimous vote, but we certainly have to come back basically every month.
When you and Tom Spaniel met in Ellen's office with Gary, what did you guys resolve that said this was a definite goal?
I didn't meet
I
with
wasn't-
Tom Spaniel.
Tim, I didn't meet with-
Town sheriff for I don't know how long.
I didn't meet,
It was a long time ago,
I didn't meet with Tom,
didn't you?
no.
Okay.
I don't know what you're asking,
No,
Tim.
but I called Teresa at your request, and she was fine with everything. Talked to Jay, gave us the driveway permit. He said, you don't even need one. He goes, there's already an existing driveway.
And their
So-
consultant sent us a letter based on what we asked you to do from the town of St.
Yeah.
Joe, which is on file. And then I spoke with Teresa at the Towns
Yeah.
Association and said, does the town of St. Joe have any issues with that? She
Tim,
said,
I just
"None."
don't see it creating a precedent with this. It's so unique, I just don't see it.
I
That's
think-
based on my 40 years of building roads. and
Well, I
engineering.
concur with that. I mean, anytime that you have the county that comes in and buys 100 and some acres of land and now owns all of the land underneath a road that's in a town that's not built to any town standards, that has a maintenance agreement on from all the people, at some point, we're just gonna have to say, this is a totally unique situation. And we can talk to our attorneys. He's not an attorney, but we're not attorneys either. I don't see how we're gonna get, by approving this, we're gonna get into a situation where people are gonna be pounding down our door to say, hey, you approved this.
I actually did, if I may say, Barry Lundeen is our attorney, and he actually feels, and I have a letter to prove that it's already a buildable lot without going through all this because it was on the plat that we created in 2000. We ran that before, well,
I don't agree.
well, that's fine. That's
Because it's an outlot.
only because there's no other name to name that, but I can take you to outlots in the city of Hudson. I can take you into Bayport, Stillwater, where they're built lots. But if you read the definition,
As is land, but when it's an outlot, you can't build on it until it's a CSM.
I disagree. And I can take you to spots in Hudson where it's been proven.
Do you have a CSM, you said? You guys have a CSM done?
Well, it's approved, yeah, yes, yeah, you
It's
have.
not approved yet. That's at the
Okay.
county. The county hasn't given its review at all. That's what we're waiting on.
Okay, so let me just ask these simple questions. First, if Barry says it works, sorry, but to me, Barry is like, God. So I believe him, like I think he did his research. So, but outside of that,
Mary, we didn't even go with that. We still went through the
Yeah.
procedure.
No, I get
Because
that.
Scott Cox said he he said he'd review it, but he said, you know what, let's just go through the procedure, and I said, yeah, let's. So we went through and got all the approvals that
Yeah.
everyone requested.
I get that. My one question is simply, and I hate that we are having you go back and forth,
Right.
you know that. My one question is simply, is it a norm for us to vote and approve something without getting the final approval on the CSM?
Well, that was a question you asked last time.
Right,
So
I
that's
mean,
why I'm here.
No,
Because we have it, but we still haven't gotten.
we always get the review
From
letter.
the county was that they went through the special exception or whatever.
Board of Adjustment
Board of Adjustment
approved
approved it, but you still haven't reviewed the CSM.
Right,
so-
but that's what I'm saying. The county hasn't reviewed the CSM for approval.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to ask. Sorry if
But
I'm.
didn't we ask that of you last time? And I said, would you make it contingent? And you said, no, you wanted the board
Right.
approval, so that's what we're doing. I don't have I'd come back later, but I came back at the request of everybody to try and get this done.
Right. My question is not, like, taking you out of it, okay?
Right.
Taking this whole
So you're asking
situation out.
now, can you approve it contingent upon the board approval?
I'm saying how.
Zoning office.
What's the precedence that we've set as far as approving these things contingent upon the CSM being reviewed and approved with the county?
We don't.
Not CSM.
Not CSMs because there's no time. That's, it's the preliminary and final usually.
Well, the
You know,
county says
because
the same thing,
preliminary,
you're
then you can
absolutely right.
change it before
So
it goes to
gets-
final.
Gets into a
wait.
catch-22.
So wait, everyone just let me think this through. So the county's not gonna approve it until they give a go from us to look at it, to review it. They're not gonna review it until
No,
we give the go.
it's in the stack that's this high and they're going in order to review it. So once they get to it, they'll send a letter to me.
So,
But you're gonna get a letter from the county saying, or their TRT letter is gonna say, town approval is needed, so they want a copy of that certified survey map with his John Hancock.
Right, but we need to see what all the conditions are, because the last one we got on this was like a zillion pages of all the stuff that needed to be, just from the concept, and we haven't looked at anything.
And that's exactly
What's
what we
the
talked about the last.
Right,
we
we
talked
need
about
this
contingents.
letter.
We talked about contingencies and making it contingent.
It's a
And then we
CSM,
all
it's too
decided, oh, we
much.
don't have all the facts from the county yet.
right.
So you don't have the one from Thursday, I have that.
I do, that's a conditional use, that's different than what I'm talking about. That was just,
I'm just getting at that I wanna stay
we
consistent with
need
how we
the
handle everything.
action letter on the
That's why I
CSM.
didn't get last week, or last
Yeah.
month, or
It's a
whatever.
T letter you call it?
TRT letter.
It's a TRT
not
letter.
standard name. TRT.
And I can't remember what we did last month.
So just so we can move this along tonight, number 8 on the letter from Sarah. Okay, well, Sarah, the attached actually came from Buck Malik. Number 8 says the
That's the
applicant.
one that approved it.
The applicant, I just gotta finish my sentence. The applicant shall have 1 year from the date of this conditional use approval to receive approval for a certified survey map. Failure to do so will result in the expiration or revocation of the conditional use permit. Prior to the expiration or revocation, the applicant may request a written extension of up to 6 months from the zoning administrator. However, extensions may not exceed 1 year.
So what's your point?
My point is, I'm supporting what you and Mary are saying, is that I think he needs to come back with the CSM, with the conditions from the county, the way we treat anybody else that comes in tonight, with the nuance that if the other board members feel after we do that we're not going to support this, then I would like some of that feedback tonight, because I support this. I didn't know anything about this. This isn't my issue, but I've looked at it enough now in detail that it's so unique with the way this has been purchased by the county and national park funds and everything else, and the roads that we've talked about ad nauseum, that everything's in the town of St. Joe. It's a non-conforming road that's not brought up to any standards, and it's owned underneath all fee title by the county, and the county approves it. I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to say, this is not setting a precedence in our town, that people are gonna be beating down our door and saying, hey, you gave approval to this guy, and now we want it. I don't support that argument.
I have no problem voting in favor of this as long as we do it in the right order.
Good.
That's what I
Is
need.
that your position
Yeah, that's
tonight?
been my position since day one. I don't have the driveway issue like you got it, and it's your, and I respect you for having whatever you want. But my point is, I don't want the exact thing to happen that someone says, well, you did this for Gary because Gary's known you guys forever and you guys have worked with Gary in many things. I just need to, and unfortunately,
3 times.
I know, but unfortunately, and I get how much time is money, trust me, I get that more, just as well as you. Unfortunately, we don't have the stuff that we would require any other developer, any other build to happen in order to do this.
So it was my understanding and Ellen's that we needed the Board of Adjustment approval.
That was Ellen's understanding.
No, we actually were looking for it in the minutes from you guys, and you said you were going to send it to the board, which
Well, first
we
of all,
never
I
got.
don't know if they approved it. They did.
They
Now
did.
you're- Now you're submitting the CSM to the county, and we need a T letter to say, are there any issues with the lot, with the CSM?
From the zoning office.
Yes, from the zoning office.
Okay.
That'll come from Sarah.
Right, so that was the only reason I'm here is because it was our understanding that
I
when,
get that. I
yeah,
get that.
otherwise I
I
wouldn't.
get it. I get it.
And the reason why Sarah hasn't done that is just because she's behind or what, I don't know.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, they're very busy and they probably didn't even start yours until this got approved.
Last week.
Right, so once it was approved, then it gets moved up, but
Because of just
So I,
yeah, Z at the
Because
end.
your name, Z.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think
Or your
there's
life.
short of staff.
But no, they're,
okay, so I think, Ken, are you comfortable that we're giving Mr. Zappa clear
I
direction
don't get
tonight?
the whole driveway thing, I'd have to look more into that.
Okay,
Yeah. it's-
and are you comfortable that if he meets the CSM requirements and all
Absolutely.
the things we've talked about, that there's a path forward for him tonight?
Absolutely.
Okay, then I think, I really, as a chair, I don't want to take much more time on this.
Yes.
Why don't you, I'm not putting words in each supervisor's mouth.
Yeah.
Why don't you pursue your normal CSM approval process for this with all the conditions that the Community Development Department is going to place on you that you have to meet?
So we'll bring that to you.
Stormwater, you
What
name it.
I think he needs to do is call Vicky after the T letter is sent out and find out if she believes there's enough information on that T letter from Sarah that we would approve it
Well,
on conditions. Because I agree. there's
I
no
did call
reason-
the other week to
But
see
there's
if we
no
were on,
reason,
but
I agree, I don't think you should come again
yeah.
if it isn't, if we aren't gonna approve it, you know what I mean?
Well, that's why I called to see if we were on, to see if everything is okay, but obviously.
Yeah,
we
and
didn't
as a
get that
board,
far.
I'm very uncomfortable. If we're not going to support this, then we shouldn't be having to keep going back and back.
If I would have known that, I would have not come here today, so.
Well, then I think on balance, this worked out okay. We all aired what issues we have, so. Anything else from the board? Okay.
Okay, so we'll get you the T, you want the T letters, but yeah.
they'll send it.
T or T letter?
TRT, they'll send it to me when,
Don't what?
they'll send it to me when it's done.
Right, get it.
And you'll get a
It
copy
actually-
too.
right.
You'll see that it's,
Right.
yeah, it'll go to you and I'll get a
So
copy.
then that should be good.
As long as all of it, because she'll list all the
Right,
things that are
and
concerns.
with all the conditions, then just make sure you can meet all those conditions.
When you
and-
arrive here for approval.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
When did you submit?
Okay. Well, as long as we're talking about that, the next one up is Ed Flanham.
They're not here anyway, so.
We're going to copy your plan.
Yes, everybody has a copy of the preliminary plat.
So there's, and it has some revisions that got comments back on the final plan from the county. So this incorporates those changes.
And then can I say something that might not come across as humorous, but you're just here tonight for a preliminary plan, correct?
Well, that's fine, both preliminary and final.
Well, I know.
So.
Oh, you're asking where all
treat you
Come on.
differently than we did with Mr. Zappa.
When you get your TRT letter, let me know, and then I'll put you on for final.
And we weren't the planning commission for the.
I told you that anyway.
So, again, I mean, this is just basically what I did last month. We had our, well, for the road that's coming in, this, we just had a pre-construction meeting today. We started the silt fence this week, whatever else, and start construction either late next week or late this week.
For Magoo and Ollie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So then, so those plans, those road plans were revised, the engineering plans were revised when we submitted. We put this together, ACA revised its plans and put the driveway locations built as for these three lots. So these when that road's built, these three driveways will be constructed at the same time. Culverts put in and everything, so there's not a bunch of carrying out the road.
And do we have a stormwater maintenance agreement? Does Matt have it?
I would assume, because I know I do not have it.
Because I need that.
Okay, so I know that,
I don't need it, I don't,
Part of the 4 lot, correct?
yeah,
well, but it includes these three.
yeah, so
Coming
yeah.
off
So,
the private road.
but you have all the.
I got
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Yes, Janet was in, that's all good.
So
We're
you have
good.
everything signed and whatever else,
On the CSM,
yeah, for the road construction.
yes. Yep,
That's-
she took care of everything.
Okay.
When is that going to be built? What's your time?
Next week.
3 weeks.
Well, starting in 3 weeks to the end of the month.
Yeah, or earlier. So he said you
We'll have-
Are you blacktopping yet this year?
No.
one layer, yeah, one layer.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, your first lift.
So you're compacting too?
Well, no, well, the one lift, and then do the second lift in the spring.
Both compacted lifts, first inch and a half this
Okay.
fall.
Okay.
And then seeding and grass growing and whatever else.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. It's also so,
You'll get there.
yeah.
It's
So
not that much.
No, it's really not. So, preliminary boring's been done out there, waiting on soil test to get up and do the final boring, so we can put that final plat and whatever else. So, but again, county surveyors already made comments on the preliminary / final plat.
Pre-construction was
They
today.
never made all those.
I saw that.
You're doing the erosion control, you said?
Yes. And so, yeah.
Stormwater will get done with the
Before we see
final.
Final, we should see.
Yeah, make sure Tammy signed, you should have that stormwater with this
The stormwater.
maintenance agreement should go with this to the county, so she can sign off, so we can sign off on final right away.
Because you need to review that stormwater agreement, correct?
Covenants?
He's working on those.
I have a stupid question. How is he really concerned about that? Yet we don't enforce covenants. Why is it a big concern over covenants?
I have no idea.
Honest, I looked at that, but who cares about covenants? Because we don't enforce them.
Right.
Right.
Well, most
I
people
read that,
don't
but
either.
what?
Covenants are a waste of time and money.
Yep,
Yeah. Because if the homeowners don't enforce it.
Right.
they gotta pay for it to enforce it, they don't want to.
Yes,
They want
so, yes. So, one thing I was professional, so, but, yeah, again, once. But I don't know what she
You know,
knows.
realtors are like that. They like something like that to sell lots.
Yeah.
No, people don't want covenants anymore. They're like, they don't, are you kidding? They don't want.
There shouldn't be any other signage, right?
No,
No.
signs are ordered. But I'll have Joe put up stop signs and everything once it's after the road's this fall.
Yeah.
Actually,
Because we charge.
we're gonna need that, yeah, you're gonna wanna do that thing because that stormwater maintenance agreement is actually part of the CSM.
Yes, it is.
So we need
So
that
we
like
just
right
need-
away.
We need that to approve the final plat of 3 lots.
Before you can sign up on the certified survey, that's what you're saying.
Yep,
Yeah, so once the road's constructed, everything. Okay, so, but I'll get on that tomorrow. Other than that, it's, I mean, pretty simple straightforward. I mean, we're not requiring any additional road or anything like that.
3 lots, 9.1 acres.
Yep.
Oh, 1, sorry,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
1, 2, 3, so, and the only condition on this then is completion of the CSM? I don't know, because the CSM has to be done to do
We
this.
do have the.
And-
sheets.
No, because there's not enough, I already have most of it on here.
But you gotta charge them for, no, that's. what
No,
the fine-
that's
what the
final,
fine-
right now.
Oh, for the street center for the first.
No, for the fire numbers. and all.
Fire numbers and lots.
Lots.
No, roads already paid for
Roads
because
paid.
road, Jan already gave me the
That's per
money.
feet.
Yes, you'll have that, and you'll have fire numbers for these 3 and stormwater, because these are included. We didn't charge you for the stormwater on these 3, only the other ones.
This is nice.
So, but there's no stormwater on these lots, or is that so? Because all the stormwater is taken care of
I'll
on the
find out.
certified survey map. So there is no stormwater on these 3 lots,
All right,
because everything's taken care of
So we're,
on that
so we're
survey.
just
I'm gonna
reading
make- I'm gonna make a note.
17,500.
what?
Did I read the 17,500, or I think you went different way?
17,500 for what?
For the stormwater.
No, there,
Oh, yeah, they, 13,750 for stormwater that he has to give the county.
Yep.
Right.
That's
Yep.
not
Yep.
ours.
Jen will take care of that.
All right, so I need to,
So
so
how
you,
much did you collect for roads?
I don't know, 37 something?
Oh, yeah, she wrote me a check,
Based on our-
37 some odd.
Yeah, we did that at the CSM.
Based on our formula?
Yeah, she gave
Yeah,
us a
she gave
check,
me a
and then
check.
the next week she came in with a letter of
Letter of
credit,
credit.
so we gave the check back.
Just checking.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
stormwater
37,060
agreement.
for us.
Did you get developers agreement?
Yeah,
Developers agreement?
What's that?
You need a developers agreement too?
He's, I know. Do you require a development
Yes.
agreement? So,
Yes. Well,
so, and it's just basically what's in that the road's gonna be built and blah, blah, blah.
yeah, I can give you a copy.
So that'd be good, because I mean, I know Jake's working on pre-canned one or whatever, but if there's one that you have that you prefer to have, you see.
Yeah, it's between the developer and the town.
Yeah. So, just stating that the road's gonna be constructed, and if not, then this is what
Yeah, and
happens.
the county's gonna want a copy.
all right, I'll find out about those 3 lots, but I think I'll let you know on that one. So really, this one is just based on completion of the CSM and county approval.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion for that?
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready for that, or want to keep talking through some issues?
No, we're good.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the preliminary plat for Summer Prairie?
Located in the northwest quarter, and the northeast quarter, and the northeast quarter, the northeast quarter, section 35, town 29 north, range 19 west, consisting of 3 lots and 9.01 acres exclusive of road. Lot numbers from the plat shown as 1 through 3 with the following conditions. Subdivision is subject to the approval process of St. Croix County, and the town shall be provided with a blanket easement to provide inspection, maintenance, or repairs to the retention ponds, drainage ways, culverts within the plat as required. It's just kind of, because that's part of the CSM, but this is part of the CSM.
So lot 2
This is
is part
weird.
of the CSM?
Well,
What do you mean, lot 2?
well,
Well, when I read it, it says including part of lot 2 of certified survey map
There
recorded.
was a
by-
huge certified survey map that we did on 108 or 88.
the whole big
Originally,
thing.
way
Yeah,
back when.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's.
So it's part of the phase 1, phase 2
Okay.
thing.
This is kind of weird because the CSM's not approved here yet, so
Oh, so you're
we
working
can't
off the
approve, we were,
descriptions from.
so this is the description for this, but it's also based on this CSM being approved because they can't do this without
Okay,
that.
Got it.
So it's kind of weird, but
Okay, someone made a motion to bring it to the floor.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Conditions?
I already gave it to you.
Yeah,
Did I hear developers agreement in there?
developers agreement
And
and
the
the
stormwater.
stormwater maintenance.
I already did that, the
Stormwater.
blanket easement to provide for stormwater. And you want a developer's agreement.
Okay, any other discussion? Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Easy.
I know. I'll let you know, I'll send you an email.
Okay.
Is Jamie Gruber here tonight from McCutcheon Road?
He is not.
Okay, that makes it easy.
Well, Ty Dodge just brought it to the planning commission.
I'm sorry, Tim, what would you do?
Ty Dodge brought it to the planning commission, so.
Right, I mean, there's nobody here representing.
Can I just ask a question about these though? When we approve these lists, do we know who's actually building on them, or are they open to developers?
It's up to the developer.
Up to the developer.
But do we know that before we,
Yes.
We don't.
No, you don't know whoever's going to build it. We never are concerned. That's not a common Hudson deal.
well, I just don't want
Stop.
cardboard being built.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next one near to my heart tonight? Discussion and action on replacing the furnace and the AC in the town hall.
Go ahead, Ken.
Last time we roasted, tonight I'm freezing to death.
Ken fixed it.
Show them the pictures.
The AC units, there's one that runs this south.
See it.
Yeah, thank you.
This room is split in half, so there's an AC unit that runs the south, there's an AC on the north, the furnace on the north, furnace on the south. The one that serves the north, they both had mice inside the controls, inside the condenser unit, where one had a nest up this high. I can show you a picture of it, but basically I came in and everything, all the wires were chewed up, and then things disintegrated from the mice pee and that, everything that you'd expect with that. So I rewired, I got the one running for the north, and the one on the south needs some parts. And I don't know if it makes sense to put parts into that one. The only thing with the furnaces is they're redundant, so you gotta, if this one goes out, you have another one down here. So the one AC is working just fine now, but I think we should look at maybe budgeting next year, the year after, on replacement, being the age of the furnaces and the condenser units.
Would you replace it with just a single unit? Because originally, when the building was being designed, they were going to put a big partition in the middle and section the room off so that you could have meetings in both halves.
I wouldn't replace them both.
That's why I'm asking that.
I would leave one of the older ones and just for redundancy.
Just believe it.
In case something happens to the one, then you have the other one to take
So on
over.
election day, when
It's
it's
the only reason.
freezing and
Yeah.
the furnace goes out, we still have a backup.
Yeah.
Because like what I told Vicky to do is turn the AC on the one half, turn the fan on the other half. You can hear the fan running on the other half. So that kind of flows the air around. Circulates the air around.
Yeah,
Well, obviously it's
No one can
working.
hear sitting out there.
She's freezing, he's cold,
Yeah.
so.
I'm just fine.
I'm
The
perfect.
other
Yeah, it's
thing,
better than last
Yeah.
month. I'm not complaining, I'm just.
the other thing is we should look at thermostats too. Some setback thermostat, night setback thermostats.
We have one in the office.
Instead of the old mercury.
Well, when they updated, because we have a new furnace and a new air conditioner in the office, because that went out, Rita was still here, I believe. So, and when they did that, then they updated the thermostats.
You can get $75 rebates on like a Nest thermostat or
How old are these furnaces? And
1994.
Jeez
25
Louise.
years old. No. Yeah, they're about 25 years old, yeah.
We'll get
Yeah.
new ones and they'll die in 5 years though, so it's like, we got the old ones.
Not really. It
I'm
depends
just
on what-
kidding.
It depends on what you get. But you're gonna save energy too.
Right.
These aren't.
They're not efficient at
They're not
all.
high efficient.
No, we get high velocity.
If you do replace them, you get some money back. You get rebates for focus on energy back on them. But you can get thermostats through focus on energy with $75 off. So like a Nest thermostat is $200 and it costs you $125. I would recommend at least replacing the thermostats right now and then budgeting in
Well,
next
there is
year
budget in the, money in the budget.
for removal or for replacement of one of those furnaces.
There's enough, there's 15,000 in the budget. As we learned, because we had to replace the roof one year. And then we had to do the furnace and air conditioner in the office one year. We had to do the roof out there.
So we have money now to replace the furnace?
There's always some money in the budget because
We throw.
what happened was,
That we throw.
there wasn't.
Hey,
And then what happened was the furnace and air conditioner died.
So let me ask a further question. There's only 133,000 left in roads for plowing. gonna have to sabotage money from other locations. Can we get by without that 15,000 for plowing? In
That's
other,
something you
in
need to
other,
decide.
in other funds within the budget?
You can wait till next year and get it, because there'll be 15,000 there again next year.
But Ken, is it just the air conditioning unit, or is it the?
I would do both.
The furnaces add
You'd
to.
want to do both. You have to do the condenser if you do the furnace, because it's R22. So the refrigerant is obsolete.
Was it possible, I'm just keying on what you said, is it possible for us to do the thermostats now?
Yeah.
And then put it in our budget for next year?
I would at least budget a thermostats and get rid of the mercuries. So
We
that
can
you
do
can,
that now.
so I mean, you could,
Yeah, but I'm saying budget in the unit for next year too. Right, then we'll have more relief from know where our snow
Right,
budget
yes.
is.
you're coming into the heating season now, you got 2 furnaces. The furnaces actually work for what I know. I didn't turn the heat function on. I'm assuming they're
Well, Vicki
working.
and I will let you know
Yeah, I mean, I can look at it.
when we're wearing
We
our
don't care.
snowsuits
No,
in
we don't
here.
care. The furnace
I mean,
works in there.
Well, the furnace works in the
I'll
office, we
take a
just
look
won't
at
need
them.
that.
This is my background, this is what I do, but I'm not gonna do like replacements and stuff like that. But I'm willing to, no, we're not willing to look at it. I'm not licensed to do that.
How expensive are the thermostats?
He just
200
said they're
each.
200, but we get $75 rebates.
So we gotta do 200 each, so be
Yeah.
$400
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
say we should do it.
it would be like 250,
for 2 of
I
them.
think.
I have to say, from seeing our bills for paying the
It'd be
light bill and that, we're pretty efficient. I know we can get rebates and everything else, but it's amazing.
You'd have to pay the 400 up front, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And that's so bit the money.
Correct. That's why I said we have to do, we'd have to spend 400 and get money back. 'cause-
That's okay.
Was that what we're doing for to do
So we
that?
can do that?
I think we should.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll,
Okay,
are you gonna help me figure out which ones to get then?
Yep.
Okay.
all right. Let's put that in the motion so we can track it. So
I think we should get a hold of, Pete Green too, to see what it would cost for a high velocity system. Because we want to budget for it next year, we'll know, and see if he can get the town of Hudson a deal. Because he used to live in the town of Hudson, he now lives in the city of Hudson. However, he works in that industry and he's often talked to me about deals for my clients and stuff, so it would be good to see, because a high velocity system will last a long time and it's less to maintain. Do you know anything about high
High
velocity?
velocity system.
Do you know what?
No.
Oh, well,
I mean,
now it's time for me to teach you something, Ken. So I'd like to, I mean, I can just ask him, we don't have to officially get bid, but I'd like to at least have permission to
That's
ask him.
called Ken.
Oh, I will.
You know what I mean?
Well,
And then
somebody
we-
needs to talk to somebody because budgeting is coming
Right.
up. So
So
we
we
need
want to
to,
know, that's what I'm
they
saying.
tell me.
so we need a motion to approve purchasing new thermostats for the hall and budget for new furnace and AC in 2020.
So,
Do we hear a second for that?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? So whatever contacts you have,
Yeah.
let's get them to Ken, and Ken can run with
Yeah.
putting together some proposals for us. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I would request a few bids.
Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
gonna, we'll get a few bids. I just want him to be included in one of them because I think we can get a better system that's more efficient, that'll cost us less money in the long run.
And I got a few companies too. Not
Okay.
the one that installed those.
Okay.
That's another issue. It may be expensive to do that just because of labor involved to get them out of that little tiny closet.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye. All those
Uh,
opposed? Motion carried. All right, discussion and action on the road standards, parking lots, and our subdivision ordinance. I see Liz is here. The last time we met, we did not set a future working session meeting because we wanted to make sure that you were involved, Mary, to see what your schedule was. And I think the consensus was that we were getting very close on these ordinances, but we didn't want to try and rush it so much that we tried to approve it at tonight's meeting. We wanted to meet at least once more and try and see if we're ready to go in October.
We need to set a public hearing for the subdivision ordinance. It's a class 2 notice.
So Liz, I guess you need to know what your schedule's like, and
Well,
kind of a proposed schedule, I looked at September, pretty much anything open. I've looked at, continued to look at some of the open issues that I still had and what I had sent you. Good news is we're headed in the right direction. I'm talking with the county and reviewing statutes and so forth. I've updated some more of the information. The paragraph that we added to our subdivision ordinance saying that the county will still do review and so forth, and developers responsible for cost, that covers us for the town ordinance. The county is continuing to review just like they have been, still collecting the fees like they have been, even though they made a change in May. And they will continue to do so for the rest of the year at least, unless the town gives them other direction. And we can continue with that process. Looking into the fact of, to clarify, one of the last things I mentioned at the work session was to, according to their land division ordinance with the chapter 13 for the county, there's a cooperative agreement that we would put in place that's between the town of Hudson and St. Croix County. And I have examples from the town of Troy and town of St. Joe. And I will put that into town of Hudson language. So that'll be there. And then the rest of it, I guess, we can discuss at the work session as to the other items that were needed to be updated.
So you're the one that's closest to this. If we meet in September, do you think we can pull all this stuff together so that we'd be ready to bring it forward for approval?
I would
For public hearing first.
Well, but if we have a public hearing on it, if we have a public hearing on it,
correct.
there's probably a 99% chance we're going to approve it, so.
Yeah.
I'm there. It's late at night for me. I'm just narrowly asking what your schedule is like so we can meet, in case we need to have 2 more meetings in September. How close do you think we are to getting this thing pulled together?
I guess my question would be is to, if you're going to rush it a little bit, you're looking to get October, we could do it. However, if we delayed it a little longer, we made it November for public hearing and passing or action, that would be better in the essence that we could get something to the Plan Commission in September for their September meeting. And then if they had more, would like to review it more, they could also look at it again in October. And if there's some issue that's still open that I can't get an answer for right off, then,
So what do we have to do for a public meeting? We have to notice that twice?
twice. Publication, and it has to be published at least 15 days prior to the date of the meeting. The second notice has to be published at least 15 days prior to the
Okay, so we have
meeting.
two notices.
Commission meetings on the 16th.
How long do we have to discuss that for a public meeting? Can we set that ahead of our town board meeting, or what's the board's thinking on that?
6 o'clock, 5:30?
That would be up to the board as to whatever, time, because obviously if there's people here that want to discuss it further, then the regular meeting would be delayed. Because I think Vicki has posted that before, we're meeting to follow public hearing.
October 29th.
No, November 5th. Well, yeah, because they haven't declared the election. Yeah, but they haven't declared an election yet. I don't know when the election is.
Oh, nice.
Also, the county had offered to review, Ellen and Sarah and Tammy had offered to review our new documents.
Well, now's a good time for us to flush it out, and figure out.
All right, so public hearing November 5th, at what time?
6 o'clock.
Can we do it in a half? Can we do
Can
it
we
in
do
a
it
half
in a
an
half
hour?
hour, or do you want to do
I
5:30?
think we should do 5:30.
Okay. And if we choose for it being the 29th, we would do it then.
Okay. Then we'll work our schedule back then. So we're gonna have our public, so that'll give Vicki 2 notices in October prior to the November 5th meeting. I suppose we could have our ordinance ready to go right up until November 4th, right? mean, if we're still tweaking it, all we're doing is noticing that we're gonna hold a public
Correct.
hearing on it.
Correct. yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
the
now-
plan commission can get a draft of some
Okay.
line send it yet and make comments.
And at the risk of losing momentum, but we don't have to now cram in 2 or 3 work sessions in September because we can still work into October.
Correct.
Okay. So having said that, when would you like to meet again in September?
And just one other thing, you don't have to pass it at the November meeting if there are some questions or items that have to be
Right.
addressed further.
But then we're really close, then we have to pass it
Definitely.
in December, or they're
Or
gonna
a
say,
special town board meeting.
right,
Yeah.
right, otherwise the county's gonna say, hey.
I just want to point out the worst scenario.
Yeah, because they've been waving the flag to us now since April. But I am saying this in good humor. If there's cooperative agreements that Troy's already done, shamelessly steal it, so.
Well, it's been there since 2004.
Oh, well, then, we need to look for
Town
that.
of St. George in 2006.
Okay, so Tim, you're out of town? You're going on vacation?
You're gonna do it before the plan commission meeting on the 16th, that's fine.
That works for me too.
Okay.
We're talking September now.
September 16th, which is a Monday.
So, Monday the 16th.
That's fine.
5 o'clock.
What time?
5 o'clock.
Yes.
What?
Right.
Yeah, look what happens when I'm asked.
Ken, what?
Okay, so that's for Monday, September 16th
16th,
yeah.
at 5 o'clock.
For a working
town board
session?
Working session.
Correct.
And
Five-
I will put the goal is to have everything as much as possible in place.
All right, let's schedule another one too.
Are we gonna have fried chicken here?
Hey, that's only for elections.
And then I will have it put on the plan commission agenda for them to look at that night too. And hopefully get them copies ahead of time too.
So do we want to grab another working session? We grab one in October?
Hold on, the September one is for the subdivision?
Yeah, subdivision, driveway, roads, all the ordinances.
Every-
Driveway needs to come off of that because that's going back to zoning.
Okay.
Or not driveway, parking lots.
Right, I knew that.
Parking lots, yeah, okay.
But this was already posted before we decided
Okay,
that.
okay.
It's just like a catch-all for us.
Okay. And then when we're looking at October now?
Okay, October,
October. Check your calendar there.
7th or 14th.
Just one other thing that you may want to look at, and we'll discuss at the work sessions, is fees that we don't have in place and/or update. So we'll look at chapter
We need to
113 also.
The appendix 113, it's not a chapter, it can be amended at any time.
so,
Won't work.
No, 7th, what about the 14th?
That's Columbus Day and observance of
Oh.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, well then I guess we're gonna be.
So you're not
closed.
gonna be
You guys
here, or are you
have
gonna
the
bring
town
turkey?
All to yourself.
I work on holidays too.
What about the
And it's
14th?
Indigenous People Day.
14th works because the 7th is sectionals for tennis.
All right, so 14th at 5 PM? It's a Monday.
Monday.
Going to state, are you?
Is that a
No,
problem for
it
you?
doesn't work for you?
That's fine.
Oh.
Which one's that now we're talking about?
Same thing
Same
again.
thing.
same, so our 2 working sessions are
Yeah, they're
Monday
ready.
the 16th of September and Monday the 14th of October.
Beautiful,
And then we've got our public hearing on November 5th at 5:30 PM.
beautiful.
And our October meeting is still up on the 1st, right? Nothing has changed for that. Okay.
Wait, 5 or 5:30?
5 PM for working sessions,
Yes,
November 5th at 5:30.
got it.
And that will also give time to work out that cooperative agreement too, so that
Good.
Holly has that.
So
And
let,
then I'll get with Vicki so that we cover all the items on the working session too, so that we can discuss everything.
Is that another treat day?
Yep, good. And I want to ask the board if we want to tie these together. I
Just
mentioned
kidding.
Kathy Pellner's retirement and the fact that our contracts, we said we're going to do annual employee reviews. So do we have some times that might work for that?
Can we tie that in with one of the,
That's what I'm thinking. Could we tie that into the
this next one, September?
September one?
I'm fine with that.
Then you can start earlier, because I can't be here later, so I suppose. Under review.
Jeff did mine some morning on a Wednesday all by
Oh,
himself.
I know, that's how it always was.
So could we, is it possible to Meet like at 3:30?
No, not for me, I'll end up working that
Okay.
4:30?
On what day?
day. 16th, maybe.
16th of October? I don't know, I don't have my schedule in front of me, and
September.
I gotta make sure I have somebody home for my kid.
We hammered out a lot on this subdivision last time. Is there gonna be as much this time?
Probably.
I think.
I just think by the time we go back through it all and see all the cooperative agreements and everything, so. I don't
could do
know,
like-
I'm not, I hopefully it won't go as long as it is, but I'm just trying to make it do it before. Can you do it at 4?
Well, I'll put it on the schedule.
Okay.
Like the 16th, of September at 4, so,
No, 5 plus 5. 5 is the working session.
yeah, I know that.
4 is employee review.
You guys are killing me. Let me look.
Whatever fit it, 5:30.
5:30.
4 o'clock?
5:30.
Yes, I can actually do that.
Can you be here for that? Vic, Chris?
We don't know yet.
We don't know, as long as my husband's home and I have somebody to take care of my kid. I don't have an 18-year-old at home to cart her around anymore. She's in college, so my other one's not old enough to drive. So it's October
We can
16th?
make that a
Oh,
different day.
September
if you wanna
16th.
do
Oh,
it.
September 16th.
If the board wants to do it a different day, that's fine too.